All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Randy Manaloto, and this is Sir Larry, Dr. Larry Gamboa, and we're here for an hour of uh, Zoom Q&A.
Yes.
Ask anything under the sun. Hopefully, sana real estate, not personal lives, but we would like to listen to uh, what what we cannot answer here. Probably we'll email or we'll text you our reviews. So probably given to us. Rochelle, can you please post the Q&A?
For all the feedback sheets that you gave, we have counted 101 feedback sheets from you. That's more than 50% of those who attended at Makati Sports Club. And your feedback are very, very helpful to figure out where we need to improve in the next TRP seminar next year pa, in February 17. So the Q&A is fresh in our minds. The unasked questions that you have in your mind, the burning issues, especially those that you are not able to directly ask, and you might still have burning inside you. And it could be you're confused about some things, or you need more answers to more questions. So anybody can go to the raise your hand, or you can just make yourself visible to us, and you will be unmuted.
Okay. So our first question is, can you give your thoughts, pros and cons regarding the Pasalo scheme, Sir Larry?
That's a good question, but I don't know any answer because I don't even know what Pasalo scheme is all about.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I can answer that because
Okay,
it's it just became a trend ever since the pandemic. I mean, before pandemic, this has already been happening, but Pasalo is actually just a takeover of a purchase of property um, from another buyer who may offer it at cost or at a premium. Meaning, if for example, the original buyer bought it for 1 million, all right, let's say a condo in Makati, he bought it for 1 million, and then 2 years later, he needed to work abroad and he could not afford to because of uncertainty, he cannot afford to pay for it. So he's looking for a possible buyer who can take over the loan, okay, because he still has to keep on paying for his amortizations for the terms for the term that he has agreed with the developer. And so there are many possibilities there. You may sell it at cost. Sasabihin niya, oh, I paid 300,000 down payment. Just pay me back my 300,000 and it's yours, and you can buy it for 1 million, for the same price that he bought it. And let's say the market price has gone up 20-30%. So it may incentivize the prospective buyer by buying it at a lower cost. Okay. Others may sell it at a premium, same deal, except that, oh, I'm offering it to you at 1.1 million. So you still would gain another 100,000 to 200,000 from the deal because you bought it cheaply compared to if you bought it directly from the developer at a lower price. However, there are some pros. That's the pros. The cons. This is just our suggestion and advice. Just make sure your paperwork is clear and clean, and make sure that the one who is buying, or his name should be recognized by the developer. Why? because it may be a disadvantage to either or to both the buyer and the seller, because if, for example, it's still in the name of the buyer, original buyer, and if the seller disappears, as far as the developer is concerned, it's the original buyer who's still in the contract, and the developer may pursue the original buyer for his obligations. Also, for the seller, it's also a disadvantage if it's not transferred to his name, because the buyer may, with malice, tell the developer it's still his property. All right, so as if there was no transaction involved. And so normally the pasalo that's being done by Pag-ibig is very straightforward. If somebody is interested to take over a property, Pag-ibig resets the whole uh, situation. What they do is they will again assess, ensures that the original buyer or the seller, his obligations is completely paid up or updated before it can be transferred to the new owner. So in a way, that's also for the pasalo, but Pag-ibig, because they have a strict procedure on how to do pasalo, they normally implement a it's like since you're the new buyer, we're treating you as the new buyer, so we're making sure that the old owner is out and the new owner is in, and you're the one obligated to pay the amortization in your name.
Randy, is this what Robert Kiyosaki please pasalo? Is that another term for flipping properties?
Yes, sir. That's also possible. In his book, when you see flipping, he just has the right to buy and then sell it to another one. So yes, in a way it is. Except that, again, as I said, ensure that you have the proper paperwork, legal paperwork. Just don't agree to a certain verbal agreement. Although it is a contract, even if it's a verbal agreement, it is better if everything's laid down in a written, mutual, signed contract to ensure both sides are protected.
Up to the point where the signed contract, the one party, the buyer, should have a copy, as well as the other party who is getting the
Yes.
property. So
Yes.
both have copies. If only one has a copy, that can lead to problems. So there's a lot of little technicalities involved to make pasalo work for all persons concerned, the seller and then the buyer, and the whole process of smooth transfer, so that everybody's happy. They don't feel like na-scam ako.
Okay, so maybe we hope that answered our questions. If you have any follow-through questions, just post it in the chat group. Okay, Rochelle, next. Okay, if you have cash to purchase the properties, is it always an advantage to pay in cash, or my solutions po wherein mas okay mag-loan? Again, it's a simple question but a complicated answer. To have cash on hand is always very important to you for emergencies, right? So if it's money that you don't need for the next 24 months, then yes. As I said, you have to make sure that anticipate emergencies, and the pandemic actually enlightened us on how long the emergency is, which is almost 3 years, 4 years. So
At least 3 years.
cash is precious. So if you need that money for your daily needs or for your monthly needs, then no. It's always better to try to use other people's money uh, and not earning so much in investments such as savings account or whatever. Then probably yes, it's a good way of uh, putting into an asset class called real estate. Okay, so I hope that answers. Actually, it's actually you as a person who can decide if it's better to borrow it or to have the to pay in cash. If you were to borrow it, just consider the long term rate in the interest rates, because right now it's not really the ideal condition to borrow money. Right now it's about 9 to 10% just to borrow short term. Unlike before, before the pandemic, and even during the pandemic, we're like paying like what, 5 to 6%. It is almost double. The cost of money is double. Okay, next question. As a young father professional with stable income and home, what's the next big thing in terms of passive income for land? What about condos? This will be for long-term investment. Again, simple question but a complicated answer. Always in any questions that you have, always think of this first question that should be answered. What vision? What is your uh, long-term view of what you want to do in terms of investing in all your investing in investing your money. So again, as I said, it's only you who can answer this question. We're just guiding you. And the first guiding question is, what is your objective? Okay. In this case, you're saying you wanted passive income. All right. But and long-term investment. Okay, that's a good start. Okay, but I don't know how many kids you have. For you who played the cash flow game, remember there are unexpected things that could happen, like having extra babies or having a pandemic or a 428 event, and that cannot be prevented. So, and of course, although you have your own profession and you have a stable income at home, of course, what you want to do with that extra money you have. And yes, I agree with you, it can be passive income, but passive income can come in so many forms. Okay, of course, the easiest, the most no-brainer, but the lowest return is putting it in the bank and just earning interest. That's passive income. You don't do anything and you earn money on that, but that's not much. Or maybe put it in a stock market that gives you dividends. That's also passive income, correct?
Yes.
What else? If you were to put it in real estate, you have to invest it in a property that gives you a stable monthly rental, okay, or stable dividend. If it's, for example, a common property, um, passive income to invest in a business that you're not directly involved with, and you're just expecting yearly dividends. So what's the next big thing? Of course, the most common rentals, but then you have to be very selective and you have to make sure that before you buy, you just make sure that your objectives are met. Okay, this is example. This is my objective. Number one objective is, as I shared in my talk, okay, so number one, Makati. So the property should be in Makati. If the property is city, then no. Even if it's the best of deals, no. Uh, if my objective is passive income uh, for the properties I do, and if I want to scale it up, then you have to be try to make your objectives more simple, but more defined. So um, passive income can also be, in my case, Makati, but I specifically targeted a more purposeful target market, which is actually the office workers. So it was more of, I now wanted Makati, but I didn't want to invest in expensive condominiums in Ayala or in PGC because they're just too much. For just a single condo, uh, in my case, the budget that I would have bought for single condo could make me buy like five low-cost apartment rentals, earning the same earning the same rentals, except that if I lose one tenant in this expensive condo, uh, I'll have no more revenues. Unlike if I lose one tenant of the five in my apartments, I still have four. Okay, so any input, Sir Larry?
What's the next big thing in terms of passive income for land? Well,
I probably will say land, he says real estate.
okay, real estate. The next passive income for real
Kasi
estate.
sa akin, passive income for land, pwedeng farming, then you have it leased, to a farmer, professional farmer, and then get a share in on the fruits of, because we know some people who bought farms during the pandemic so that they can go get away from the city, but they were still able to earn income from those lands because they ask for professional uh, farmers or fruit pickers, whatever, to share in whatever produce that is tilled or is work exerted on the land. So like I understand like in the rice palay, they had a sharing of 50-50. And then for the fruits, they had a sharing of certain amount. Okay, next question. Ah, sorry, Nika, is Nika here? Unfortunately, Nika is not here. Okay, for Nika, her, her personal real estate activities, she does condo sharing or before it's called
Bed spacing.
bed spacing, but ngayon medyo social, it's called condo sharing. So it's the same concept, except but it's a new trend. I think the flats of Ayala, the flats project of Ayala Land and the My Town projects around the BGC area, they have the same concept. Yeah, you rent by the bed uh, for a certain period of time, and then you share common facilities like toilet, kitchen. Yeah. So I can't answer her other the other questions that is here. So we'll see how to answer directly the question of this person. Thank you. Next question, please. Next question. Okay. May I know the risks and setbacks of passive businesses? How do financial projects if you have limited funds? Of course, whenever we do our projects, our apartment buildings for rent, these are all calculated risks. What we may have assumed to be correct will totally be different based on actual. Case in point was the pandemic. before the pandemic, I thought my formula was the most ideal and foolproof.
No risk.
No risk, good returns. But my business model was build a cheap apartment rentals around Makati CBD and BGC CBD, CBD Central Business District, that will cater to the daily workers who, instead of having to travel every day to work and who live outside of Makati, usually these are Calabarzon area and sometimes even farther away. We computed the cost of money for their transportation and their time, and then make it equivalent to how much they would have saved stay na lang in a place where it's like walking distance or one jeep ride away from where they work. So that was my business model. Live where you work or live near your work. That was a foolproof model. However, this pandemic just changed the whole situation. When we are forced to be on lockdown and everybody was working from home, so everybody went home, and nobody was already staying in our apartments except for those who actually live in the provinces far away from Makati, like in the Visayas or Mindanao or Ilocos or Bicol. They have no choice but to be here, you know. But for those who are just taking the bus going home, we lost that market altogether, and we lost more than half of our tenants. So there are risks and there are setbacks, and I thought that I had the right formula, but we are only just humans. So we make mistakes. This black swan enlightened us on how to do this. However, as I also shared in my talk, we're able to pivot. We're able to talk to our tenants, move them to one area. I mean, to one building, and then we made our other buildings very all vacant, and we converted it into party hotels so that we can address the needs of the OFWs and OWA. At the time, was our client, so that we can cater to the quarantine, which was on high demand then. And then, but as I said, now that we're almost back to normal, we pivoted back to apartment rentals because traffic has gotten worse, and there's again a demand, huge demand of people looking for a place to live near where they work, because traffic is just terrible, and it's time consuming, and it's really it really exerts effort to travel. So the next question is how to finance your projects if you have limited funds. I guess you just have to work within the limits of your capacity. Again, it's okay to borrow money or to use other people's money for as long as you're sure that your business model is working. Do not overextend yourself. I mean, you try it first. I started with actually I didn't start with one building. I started with one condo, and then it became two condos, and then it became three condos, and then I started buying houses far away in Laguna and in Cavite. That's how we learn how to see what's because I had no mentors. I mean, I had mentors, but I did not follow them. I wanted to follow my own beat. I mean, everybody wants that. So because they actually give sound advice. One of my mentors say, just stick to where you live. And so because I wanted to expand fast, so I went to Laguna, I went to Cavite, and so that's how I learned that it's that if you want to keep your life simple and not to be tired traveling, just check on your property. It's just one location. So Larry, any inputs on this?
How do you finance your project if you have limited funds? My own experience, of limited funds was a lot of properties were foreclosed. The economy was going down. It was martial law. And because of martial law, a lot of properties got foreclosed and were that the banks were giving them away very, very cheap through very low interest rate, and they were willing to fund. So you only pay 10%, 15%, or 20% of the purchase price. The balance you would pay over 10 years or 15 years, and sometimes even longer, so that it stretched out the payment so that you can creatively figure out how to get cash flow by renting out or by doing rent to own business model. So the finance happened because of the economic crisis, and the banks were willing to finance. And if you don't have money, why not ride on the financing being offered by the banks? But do it again carefully with due diligence so that you know the numbers that you're dealing with. How much are you buying it for? How much will you have to pay monthly as amortization? And how much income will you have to generate if you're going to be renting out the property or flipping it through a rent to own model? And that's really what led me to put together the book Think Rich Pinoy. And just before coming into this session with you guys, I was rereading the book that I supposedly wrote years and years ago. And I was surprised how much I was learning from that very same book, because I was just trying to put in Filipino terms, in simple terms, what I learned from Robert Kiyosaki and the cash flow game, but I put it in the context Philippine deals. No, how did SM do it, and how did Jollibee do it, and then connecting the SM business model and the Jollibee business model, and how can I do it in my little small way. And that's where I began to put into practice cash flow principles, no? The cash flow quadrant of Robert Kiyosaki. And I even discovered the drawings showing the cash flow that was put together by J.B. Gamboa, the artist that made those drawings in the book. No? So I would recommend, if you want to get a little more deeply into how to handle risk and setbacks and even the financing side, please reread the Think Rich Pinoy book. You don't have to read all the chapters. You select the chapters. I was even learning from the experience of my own mother, how this woman with no college education became a widow and then supported a family of 6 children. How she learned as she did, no? And the key is to grasp the principles, and that's the principles can only be done through actual deals. No?
Yeah.
Through actual deal after deal after deal. No? If you spend too much time thinking and you don't do the deals, the learning kind of slows down and disappears. No? So that's why I got fascinated with the cash flow game. I can do deals parang in my imagination and with my pointing the dice and then doing those things and then making the numbers go into those sheets. You know, the movement moved my brain, and then maybe made me a little brave enough to look for a deal and then actually begin to spend or invest real money, real pesos. No?
All right. It's actually funny, Sir Larry. You're really reading your book. Just earlier this week, I started reading again the original Rich Dad Poor Dad, and the Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So I'm just reviewing again because I want to get more insights. Alam mo, you just get one insight from that book. It's mind blowing. It's life changing actually. So Talking of which, do you still remember your first deal, Sir Larry?
Yeah, the San Pedro.
San Pedro.
San Pedro fan.
And guess what?
Oh,
Remember we're going to do a project there together.
yeah.
What goes around comes around.
That's
or
right. That's
opposite.
right.
What comes around goes around.
Oh,
Just to give you an idea, the San Pedro deal of Sir Larry, it's a foreclosure investment, right?
yep.
And
Union Bank.
you're fully paid. You paid
Yes.
Union Bank. Unfortunately, there were a few buyers who did not complete their obligation.
Yes.
And if it's a foreclosure investment, sorry, if it's a rent to own model like what Sir Larry was introducing in his book, Robert Kiyosaki style, what he did was he bought the property from the bank and then started selling to the different buyers, of course at a profit. Okay, and his scheme was rent to own simply because
Loud pera.
wala kang pera. At the same time, yung mga bibili sa iyo may have the initial cash investment, but we have to see if they can pay the monthly. Correct?
Yeah. Why rent when you can own? That was my.
Yes.
Why rent? You always pay rent to the landlord. Why now you can own it, so you don't.
Yes.
Yung rental money you convert it.
But that's caveat.
Yes.
There's a caveat there.
Okay.
It's rent to own, but essentially in the paper, again, in the contract, it's actually a rent deal. It's not an own deal. Meaning you promise to rent this property for the next maybe 15 years, 10,
Yes.
15 years at a fixed amount, at a higher premium. And after you complete that 15 years, you pay an additional premium for parang to transfer to close the deal, and that's yours.
Yes.
Okay. Unfortunately, some buyers didn't do that. They paid for like 5 years, 6 years, maybe 10 years. For example, sir, in Sir Larry's case, I think his deal was 15 years.
15 years.
But your loan from the bank is with for how many years? 10 years?
Yeah. In some units, but not the San Pedro. That was full.
No,
So-
San Pedro, was you paid in full or was it you borrowed for how many different pay?
No, I used the down payment of the tenant
Paid it.
to pay it.
Paid full.
Yeah.
So wow. Some of your buyers
Yeah.
did not complete their payment.
Yes.
You own the land.
Yes.
Parang Union Bank, di ba?
Yes.
It's like Union Bank na
Definitely
All
Union Bank. It's a Union Bank property.
so Union Bank property. And so I think two of the buyers didn't complete
Yes.
the payments.
Yes.
And so it's reverted back to Solari. So right now I'm doing a deal with him because the buyer left it in a really bad state that we have strategized on what to do with the property. Either sell it again or rent to own or whatever. But
They cannibalized the property before they left it. Talagang the electricals, all the stuff in the property, they cannibalized.
there's so many lessons that in that a lot from that. So there is no foolproof in any business you do. Akali Sir Larry, rent to own is already the answer to all his real estate questions on how to gain pay it in full, and he owns the property. Now he has a big headache. It's a non-performing asset. Okay, it's an asset nevertheless, but it's not performing. So meaning you can, it's like land. You know, apparently you cannot earn anything from it unless you put something valuable. It can be rented out or it can be sold. If it's land, then you have to till it. You have to put fruit bearing trees so that you can earn something. Anyway, we're going sideways on this discussion.
Okay.
But it was it's a cute it's an interesting journey that Sir Larry has gone. Parang from the
Wow.
first year now we're going back to that and seeing how we can do.
15 years ago.
Maybe we can do a project together, Sir Larry. We can share that journey with them, maybe, and then that's your Think Rich Pinoy Seminar 102 or the workshop version.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay,
Anyway, it's
okay.
just an idea. Is Mavs here? Yes, Mavs, can you please answer this question?
Yes,
Mavs?
yes.
Ikaw naman.
Ako naman.
Did you find your
Hello.
first property? Ma'ams.
How did I find my first property? Let me think. I It's from a motivated seller. Dati ko was brain para sa kanyang brain. So, that time, naghahanap kami ng investment property at may ipon pang down payment. So,
I think Mavs has a weak
Sound.
signal. Yeah, weak signal. So we'll just ask her to answer the question again later. Probably next question na lang muna. Yeah. Nika is not here as well. Okay. Can you give one of your challenges in the past thinking how to solve it? I already shared with you. One of those challenges is actually, as I said, losing
nawala ako.
losing your tenant. It worked for because of work from home model and how we solved it. Mavs, you have good signal already?
Yes. Lumabas na ako. Ayun, yun lang. It was from a motivated seller. Nung nakita ko yung first condo namin. Tapos we got a loan ng amount ng, yung 1 million na cost is, yun din yung cost na binigay yun din yung loan na ibinigay sa amin Pag-ibig. So yung 100,000, yung 10% namin na down payment, yung 100,000, ibalik din sa amin. Tapos pinarent-own ko siya amounting to parang 1.5 million for 10 years. Tapos na to. So,
Nice, kumita ka na pala. Good.
oo. Tinatawagan ko si Sir Larry noon, di niya alam na nagpaparento una. May pinaparento una ako. Kaya binabasa ko lang yung Tigris Pinoy na book noon. Sir, ganito ba to? To confirm. Ito ba ibig sabihin nito? I mean, tapos after
It's so
nung deal,
funny.
sinabi ko kay Sir.
Yes. I think, this is so funny. I just told Sir Larry. Alam mo, because like you, I was a student of Sir Larry. I attended about 15 years ago his seminar. Your seminars since 2004? Tagal na, 20 years na. My gosh, 20 years na. Happy anniversary, Sir Larry.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
20 years na seminar, Sir Larry. Okay, so wow, so 20 years it's a long time. Anyway, I was listening and then I also did what he was doing, foreclosure, ganun. Pero sa akin, ito, because he was saying na location is too far business work for me. It has to be near me. So that was the first lesson that I learned here. But more importantly, as Sir Larry was doing this seminar every quarter, napapansin ko kung pakote na pakote yung foreclosures. Kasi lahat ng dati Sir Larry are also doing the same thing. So
Kaya
good job, Sir Larry.
ako sa motivated seller na lang.
So,
Bago pa ma-foreclose.
but you know what? That doesn't matter to me. I should also still find good deals pa rin. Once that's your objective, deals will just follow. It will just you keep on communicating with your possible investors, possible uh, sellers like the banks and brokers. They will tell you where the best deals are. And so, for as long as you know what you want to do, deals will just come in.
But there's one thing I remember, Randy. You, when we were talking in the early days, and you were going to the seminar, and you were saying you were learning a lot, and I said, "What can I teach you in the seminar?" And your response to me, to my shock, is, I learned that I can borrow money profitably, because my whole philosophy in life at the time is borrowing is bad. I don't like to borrow because it's so dangerous to borrow. You can get hurt if you borrow. And then somehow it clicked in my head is, what's wrong with borrowing if I do it properly? I use the money to actually generate cash flow to property. So that little idea or sentence tweaked your business model, as far as I recall, Randy. I don't know kung you can share a little bit about your philosophy about borrowing money then and now.
Kasi Sir Larry, because of course I do my own financials with the accountant, and it makes sense to borrow money because number one, interest costs can be deducted, right, in your against your revenues. Meaning, of course, when you have an income, it's subject to tax. If you have income, you pay, you pay a smaller tax. And it's no, it's not evasion. It's I think it's called the legal loophole. It's even legal loophole. It's valid. Interest cost is an expense related to the business. That's one. And there's so many repercussions in terms of accounting. You can borrow money at the same time. The depreciation cost, which is non-cash, also affects your cash flow positively, and yet it also affects your financial statement because this depreciation, it's deducted again as an expense. It's a valid expense, and so you're thinking, so this loan I just borrowed it already, so it's not my money, and yet I can still depreciate it. There's so many things in my mind. Again, as I told you, I'm really conscious about my numbers, so it does make sense, So I think in this business, my extra effort that I do is more of marketing, meaning how do I make sure that I have enough rentals? Okay, because I may have big expenses and then there's no rental, then it doesn't serve the purpose. So again, that's why I focus most of my business into marketing and to sales, into making sure that I have a valid revenue generator business model, so that the expense side is easier to manage. Yeah. Thank you. I hope you got insights on that. Interesting, but very nice. How to use loan debt in real estate business? We just explained it. So maybe next question na. Marami pa ba? Okay. Other than real estate, what businesses can one invest in? If you're not ready, probably the safest way is passive. If you want to be still learn about real estate, but not put it in real estate because you wanted to sell that investment right away, I think I would recommend just go into REITs, in the dividends from that. You learn by reviewing their quarterly performance. You would see what the trends are. They will tell you. And if, let's say, you have other business opportunities in the stock market, you can just sell those REITs, hopefully at a profit as well. So that's the best way to start, probably the ball going for doing real estate. And then maybe double into referrals or if you want to be deeply involved in transactional real estate, probably apply as a sales person under a broker so that you're licensed, so that you can start earning money, commissions, at least laway capital ka lang. Right. But referral is also laway capital. But you get lower earnings there. Okay. Probably that's the first two things that I would recommend. How to earn dead real estate properties. How to earn from dead real estate properties. Probably when you see dead real estate properties, non-revenue earning, right?
Foreclosed. Then means foreclosed.
We'll just yeah, okay. We'll just assume it is. So maybe you can
Equity, sir.
Again, please read Rich Pinoy. Those are all foreclosed deals.
Ano, Mavs? Sorry. Were you saying something?
I could dead, but equity, kumuha ng cash out of it, equity so
How to earn from dead?
turn around.
Ano, dead ba yan?
Then real.
Non-performing asset. Parang ganun.
Yeah. Nga. And non-performing assets, yeah. We again shared you some ideas on how to pivot, making those dead, improving it, or
Yeah.
or flip it. Sometimes because people sometimes probably my suggestion is don't fall in love too much with the properties that you own, that may cause you headaches in the future. Yeah, next question. Sir Larry, can you sell properties if we can only have a tax deck and no? Frankly, I do it. Tax declaration is just proof that we paying taxes on land, but it doesn't mean that the government will guarantee giving you the title to the property. You have to go through Department of either Agrarian Reform or Department of Bureau of Lands or something like that to confirm that that's not government property. For example, this is happening in Boracay, and most of the big investments there, they base it on just a tax declaration. So although there is a legal process of evicting owners with tax declaration, still banks will not allow. Okay, this is a big advantage. Banks will not lend you money if you just have tax declaration. For them, it's not a real property. It's not a real asset. So Larry, will you comment on that? Okay. Maps, may comment ka ba dyan? Wala. Tax deck. Maps? I think she has no signal. Maybe we'll go through.
Ayan na.
Yes. Ano nga ulit? Sorry.
Tax deck. Can we sell properties if what we have is tax deck? Of course, you can sell properties, especially if the buyer is willing to buy. But again, tax declaration is not proof of ownership, really. The bank will not validate that, and they will not lend you money using that as collateral. May nasignal ni Maps so I can't. Okay, we'll start. Ano na, since yan ang last question, I can answer other questions. No, sige, let's start with the chat questions. Wait, let me just enlarge this. Sorry. Okay, question. Marami pala. I guess we have time. Okay. Is it advisable to buy vast lands like farmlands, even if they are far away from where you live? So Larry.
Again, it depends where those vast farmlands are. I mean, if, for example, Cagayan de Oro, all of a sudden, even though you're from Manila, you'll find out your ancestor or something has vast farmlands in Cagayan de Oro. You have to make some key decisions again about your objective. Do you want to operate that property from Manila, or are you willing to transfer to Cagayan de Oro, relocate there, and then gradually build up your property there using Cagayan de Oro as your base? There are fundamental decisions about your own objectives and where you're going to execute those objectives.
Okay, so ako no, I don't like. If it's far away from me, as I said, if it's not in Makati and there's that's a straightforward answer there. Next question. How do we go about flipping condos over? Yeah, it's how do we go about? Well, go through the process. You buy from a developer at a very cheap, low, starting rate, and then let time pass until the developers increase their price until probably time for you to sell. And then you sell at how much the market, check the market price of the developer, and maybe undersell it a bit below the price. Or if you have a very premium location, then probably you can even match the price that what the developers have and make money, or even add premium to that. Okay, so see, it's a simple thing.
Ako, sir.
Next question. What suggestions? Probably. Sorry, go ahead.
Like, sir, I will add. So that sometimes kasi I will add to that because sometimes when they do the condo investing, buying pre-selling and then sell it, that in 1 year or 2 years, the price increase and then they will sell it na transfer ng title, capital gains, documentary contract, ganyan, na ma-add sa costing ninyo when you sell it. So I would parang better when you initially buy a pre-selling condo, make sure that you can hold it until turnover or at least after 5 years after turnover. So minimum of 8 to 10 years holding a condominium so that they will be able to maximize the returns in capital gain, yung capital appreciation, and then kung paparentahan nila. So that's how you want to go about in condo investing. Parang not just pre-selling investing. Take this.
Thank you, Mavs. Okay, so next question will be about how to deal with illegal settlers. I mean, informal settlers.
Don't want to think about it. Masakit, masyado yan.
They're people from hell.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Tenants from hell.
Ako, sir,
Sige, go.
you have to deal it fairly and squarely. So you really have to talk to yung fairly, meaning wala kung ayaw nilang mapakausapan ng kayo-kayo lang, I mean yung without legal intervention, you have to act immediately to do legal intervention. So do the process immediately. But minsan, most of the time kasi, they just want to get something, parang makakuha ng pera out of their stay. Ganun. So kami naman, based on our experience, meron kami mga kinausap directly, umalis naman, pero we really parang out of our we gave some cash out of our parang generosity or tulong sa kanila, no, Yun. So, basically, makakausap yan sila on a personal level as much as possible. Pero may kasama ka dapat legal, para if all things goes worse, ano mo sila, madadaan mo sa legal action immediately.
Tama
So,
yun, ma'am.
matagal.
Tama yun. So I guess always look for a win-win situation. Yun lang naman yun eh. Ako naman I do it in numbers. What I mean by numbers is if I were to get rid of them, if I ask them to move out forcibly or legally eject them, I would have to compute the cost of the legal costs and cost of money. And so I just do a little computation. And then maybe with that numbers on hand, I can now have the idea of probably if I spend, sabihin natin, if I'll spend 100,000 in ejecting these settlers, probably in my mind I said I'll offer siguro 50,000 to them cash so that they can leave na. Diba? I mean, I know it's like tolerating the idea of it's good to be an informal settler, an illegal settler, so you'll be paid off. But each person has his own circumstances. I just look at it as a transactional point of view and what's practical for me. And it's always about numbers. So I just tell them, this is how much I can offer you so that you can leave na and I can use the property right away. But that doesn't happen all the time. Some people just think that they have the right to the property, and so we have to go through the process long as it is. And Sir Larry has a lot of great experiences. He even had the sheriff accompanied by a squad of police, right? To take over a property because the occupant tenant refused to move out. So, but he had the final court decision and everything. But that took some time, a lot of stress, And at that time, you were undergoing a medical operation, right? So so he remembers that pretty well.
Vividly.
Yeah. So
But the good thing is you follow the law. Don't try to shortcut it, or kasi if you try to do shortcut and you start paying all kinds of money, mas matagal at mas mahal, no? So we follow the law. It took a long time, but and we really tried to amicably convince the tenant who's become a tenant squatter, no, to live peacefully kasi hindi na siya nakakabayad, and then he was using that money that he was getting from his business without servicing the customers, no? So it really was very convoluted. And finally, we tried to tell him, we're trying to give a break. Finally, we had to really go to sheriff, go to court, so for a formal procedure. But as Randy mentioned, madugo yun, and if I had to do it again, I wouldn't want to go through that again.
but you have to.
You have to, and fortunately, in this case, we succeeded in doing it, and it's a very good property in a good location.
And it's fully paid by the
Yes,
rent-to-own buyer
yes.
who just had to wait for a few more years. But
You got it. You got it.
it's just sometimes,
It would have been owned by that person, no? And then what this valuable property that they could have owned, it's like they gave it up. And what a crazy way to get back a property that's even more valuable than when you were already willing to let go of it.
each of your property has really a lot of history and
Yes.
kwento, no?
Yeah.
Grabe.
The same
Anyway,
one with,
Anyway, okay. Sige, let's not mahabang Mahaba bang kwento yan? Sige, sorry we have siguro a few more questions to answer. You said business is a team sport. Does TRP provide a platform where we could regularly collaborate in our deals? In the olden days, traditionally meetups, during cash flow games, and then you exchange deals. But with the onset of course, Viber or Facebook groups, we haven't done it ourselves simply because we're overwhelmed with all our projects. So we try not to be involved. But having said that, though, I'm asking our team if they can put up a Facebook page for the attendees of last week's seminar, and be part. If you want to be part of that group, you can. It's an open, for as long as it's related to deals and real estate. It will be, but it will be moderated by our tech team, just to make sure that it's within the objectives of our. But we may be lurkers, Sir Lai and I, because we're not too involved anymore in deals. But if there are questions that we can answer, then best effort basis we'll try to get involved. All right. So next question. If investment will take 10 years for ROI, like buying old RFO condos and renting them out, what's the question? There's no question here. The question is, if investment will take 10 years for ROI, like buying old are ready for occupancy condos and renting them out. Yeah, that's a good. 10 years is a good, actually good rate of return. 10 years is about 0.8% per month rent. So if it's a 1 million property and 8,000 a month rent, that will give you about 10 years to pay back that capital of 1 million. Okay, next. How do you assess the property value in order to come up with a reasonable price against what the seller has declared? Of course, number one, always check the market price. Meaning, go for do comps. Comps means comparisons. So either one, you check the online prices, market value, and then number two, go to check BAR for their zonal values, so that you have an idea what is acceptable to BAR as a value of that property. And then number three, probably look for a broker, an expert broker in that area, so that these three sources can help you make a more sound judgment of what for you the value of the property is. Okay, just don't trust one source. Go to multiple sources to come up with a price that you think is fair for you. Okay. Another question: do you have recommendations regarding affordable and trusted contractors that can refurbish foreclosed properties? Offhand, no. So I do it myself with my team, and I don't do others, so I can't offer that service. So personally, I could not recommend anyone for now. So Larry, do you have any? Yeah. But there will be, it's best to check the market, check online, and then check for referrals. Okay, because it's important to ask for the previous clients' contact numbers and ask how their experience with their work is. Okay, usually it's very important to get a feedback of what they've done in the past. Okay, could you give your thoughts on buying old condos in the CBD versus a lot in with an old house in the developing area? It depends on how much money you want to exert. An old condo is easier to rent out than an old house in a developing area, because you're not even sure if there's a market for that. If there's a market for that, why not? But you'll have it's easier to renovate, refurbish an old condo than an old house. That's for sure. And it may cost you more. Okay. in terms of rent to own scheme, sir, this is you. Let's say it's 15 years rent to own scheme. When is capital gains tax payable? Is it at the end of the term? Are we not going to end up with a huge amount of capital gains to be paid? Sir Larry.
In the computation of the whole thing, you have to already factor in the capital gains. So if you don't, you will end up carrying it rather than being able to amortize it through the people renting to own from you. So again, the formula that the bank gives to compute amortization, you have to properly arrange it so that it covers capital gains. If you compute wrongly, which I have fallen into that trap, no, you end up negative rather than positive, all because of computation
Correct,
error.
correct. Remember, capital gains is only computed legally and to be paid to BAR once there is a deed of absolute sale. And that only happens for rent to own if you completed the 15 years. Okay? If you completed the 15 years and you sign the deed of sale so that it can be transferred. I think one solution there is to tell them in your contract is that the buyer will take care of capital gains tax. That will protect the seller. Okay, because if in 15 years time, the BI zonal value would have gone significantly high as what we've seen lately. So just for your peace of mind, when you do the contract to sorry, not the contract to sell, but the deed of absolute, sorry, when you do the lease to own contract, it will in that portion of, you know, you pay rent for 15 years, and then after you finish completing the rent for 15 years, there's this one big lump sum at the end of the term that you'll give a premium to the seller, which is Sir Larry, and that also includes all other expenses and like transfer fees, capital gains, doc stamps, etc., etc., etc. All those expenses shall be for the account of the buyer. Okay, then that will exempt you from. The seller will have 15 years of peace of mind CP. Okay. Sige, next.
All one legal.
Okay, time check, it's 12:20, so we'll have 10 minutes left. So we'll try to answer as many questions. Otherwise, we'll just post these answers of the unanswered questions online or through email, okay? Do we have a checklist in looking for good property to buy? But yes, three important things when you buy a property, okay? Number one, valid title, okay? You have to go and confirm that the title is authenticated, that it's really the owner's. Number two, tax declaration. If he's paying his realty taxes on time, because it may be delinquent, and if you didn't know, the government usually forecloses a property if you're not paying your realty taxes. That's possible. So make sure that your tax declaration is up to date and your realty taxes are up to date. And number three, physical location. You have to go inspect the property. That's the only way to learn if it's really a good property or not. You know, understand the neighborhood, look at the neighborhood situation, the flood levels, the earthquake zone levels, all of that. Okay? So that's a basic checklist, and then the rest based on your objectives. What documents to check from the bank when you're buying the property? As I mentioned before, those three things. And normally I like the buy from the banks because they did their due diligence. So normally they will tell you upfront if it's a property that's that has all the bank will tell you if the property has problems or not. They have to have a full disclosure. What's considered a good bank term? Again, it depends on your relationship with the bank, so I can't answer that. What are the main things you check when visiting the property you want to buy? Plumbing, neighbor, etc. Yeah, everything. Everything. Plumbing, not necessarily, but yeah, if it's a condo or a house, yeah, but that's but I think the neighborhood itself is the more important one. Okay. Next question, inquiring about financing schemes on purchasing properties. Purchasing a property using bank financing, then transferring it to pag-ibig financing. How does it work? And is it better to use this kind of financing for properties if you plan to use for real estate that are for rentals? Okay, the objective of pag-ibig actually is for your own use. All right. However, if you own your own house, unfinanced or financed by another one, it's we prefer pag-ibig bank because it depends also on your age. We prefer pag-ibig bank because they can lend you money for 25, 30 years. The bank will only lend you money for 5, at most 10 years. So that's the difference. And therefore, if it's a shorter term, your monthly amortization is bigger. Okay? So that's the only difference. That's why we like pag-ibig because pag-ibig is 25 years. So the amortization monthly is lower. Okay. Another question, if I refinance a rental property but suddenly it lost its capacity to pay for itself, losing tenants, will I be personally liable to pay for the balance? Yes, of course. Yes, definitely. You own the property, therefore, regardless if the property is earning or not, you're obliged to pay for those amortizations. Okay. Now, the next question is, may I let go of the property as collateral? Yeah, you can, but the banks won't like that, and you may be banned. And when you are banned by the banks, it's spread across all other creditors. So it's possible that it's like a credit card, if somebody doesn't pay a credit card, you're blacklisted not only with that bank but with the other bank. So just be careful. That's why don't over leverage. Don't over leverage until you're really sure about it. Okay. Another question: are the declared property prices by the banks negotiable? Yes. Again, it's between you and the bank, and you do your own due diligence because, like in my deal, as I told you, I found so many mistakes by the bank that they're able to listen to me and followed my and granted my offer, my counter offer because of their mistakes. Okay. How can you lower the selling price? It really depends on what's acceptable to you. There's no percentage, there's no guide, there's no rule. It depends. What is a good profit margin for flipping real estate? Gosh. When you flip, there are many costs involved. So just make sure that you're above those costs. And then you think of you have to pay yourself too. So if it's a 1 month flipping, then how much am I worth working on this project for 1 month? Right? Di ba, Mavs? Ganun ba? Answer this question. What is the good profit margin for flipping real estate? There's no solid rule eh. Anyway, I'll just move on to the next question na lang. ROI 6% gross is good. Right now, if you put money in the bank, it's 5 to 6%. So depends again your objective. Only you can answer that.
Ayun. Hirap matanggal yung ano.
Mams, can you answer the question?
Yes, sir. Sir, yung rule of thumb sa flipping, I think I shared that. At least kapag nagbo-buy and sell, at least 30%
Okay.
on yon. Tapos, yun. Yung profit margin mo on gross. If you can make it higher, better. Pero dapat hindi ka bababa doon. Otherwise, sobrang liit na ng magiging net profit mo because you have to, again, incur yung mga cost nga ng transfer or other, yung mga renovations,
Okay.
yung mga allowances, mababa. Okay, yun.
Hello, Sir Randy.
Yes.
Hi, Sir Randy and Sir Larry. Gusto ko sanang ihabol yung question ko kasi gusto ko sanang masagot dito coming from you. Sir, ang question ko, sir, is it better to put your property investment in the name of your corporation rather than your name? Can you explain it, sir, kung ano po yung pros and cons if ipapangalan sa corporation nyo or sa individual name nyo yung property? Like, for example, condo. Ano yung advantage nun, sir, sa taxation?
Okay, ito na naman sa akin. If it's in your name, it's easier to sell because you all again, not really again, let me repeat that. If it's in your name, hopefully when you sell it, you just pay capital gains. But then you have to BAR will be very careful on this because if you are a lessor, they will tag you as a real estate practitioner and you'll be subject not to the 6% gain tax, but to the ordinary income tax of 35% of your income. So ingat ka. So that's why for me, because I do this business in a bigger scale, I always put a corporation. And I don't have, because we have so many properties, mas masakit sa ulo to if I happen to move on already and transfer these properties to the successors or the heirs, mas madugo if it's under my name. So if it's corporation, it's easier because it's just shares of stock rather than mas matrabaho ang transferring titles under the name. So depends on your objective here. If it were your house that you use, yes, okay lang personal. But if it's because you don't earn from it, but if it's something that you will generate revenues, especially when you lease it out and the tenant will say, I need receipt, or I need to declare this as an expense. I need your TIN number. There are repercussions to that. That means your TIN will be tagged as a lessor, and that totally change the status of your status of your TIN. And even if you have a house under your name that you don't use, or if you bought an investment, a land that you don't, that does not earning any revenues, if you flip it and sell it, okay, under your name, and the BAR checks on your TIN, of course, they will check the TIN when there's a transaction and say, oh, this seller is tagged as a real estate practitioner, and therefore you don't pay capital gains of 6%. You pay 35% of your income tax, meaning how much you sold the property less how much you bought the property, and then you're subject to 25 or 30% of that. So medyo complicated. I think I'm not the right person to answer this, but ask a tax lawyer, a tax real estate lawyer, for the proper way of doing this. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you for answering, Sir Randy and
Very strict na ngayon especially condos. When you sell, recently nakikita ko ng trend for example, I've seen a lot of sales of houses in Makati, the subdivisions, EGC, the condos. The first question that they are, one of the requirements of BAR is a certification from the association that the house was occupied by the person and not being rented out. And of course, these associations have the record. And they'll say, no, this has been tenanted. So meaning there was really a rental income. So instead of just paying capital gains, you didn't use it personally. This being used by you made money off this. So we want a share of that. So it's really complicated, lalo na ngayon. So unless you own the building yourself, like me, I own my building myself, I'll just certify that it's all residential. Diba? Madali yan. But if you stay in a condominium and the association will say, no, we have a record that you have a tenant who lived here and although they don't have the price of your rentals, it will just tag you that you are a real estate practitioner because you're leasing out. You're using your property to gain revenues. Okay? I hope that answers the question. Sir, we're overtime na.
Mm.
5 more minutes.
Okay.
O sige. Okay, and we won't answer any more of the meeting chat, we'll just reply it. Maybe here quickly lang, anybody who wants to do a live Q&A para we can answer? Wala na? Besides Raymond, wala na? Yeah, so we're already way past our extended 30 minutes. So, Larry, maybe a concluding.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Sir
Edward.
Gary?
Yeah.
Yes, Sir Gary. Sir Gary, meron akong questions. Kung meron ka na, di ba, for example, meron kang property na naka-financing siya sa bangko, then meron ka ng cash na pangbayad dyan, is it advisable na i-full pay mo na lang yan kaysa, or gagamitin mo yung pera mong on hand para makapaghanap ka pa ng property, para makapag-purchase ka pa ng bago?
Again, objective yan, Edward. It's still an objective. If it's extra cash money for you, you decide. You pay it off and then earn the rental income as passive income without any more expenses. Kasi you paid cash eh. So you're expecting the rental to be your dividends. That will be your rental income, passive income. Or you want to expand your portfolio and buy other properties that can gain more revenues for you and more passive income. But then again, it's a balancing act because when you use the money to buy a condo, for the first property, you have to still deduct your monthly amortization from the rentals. So that's the, if you have a net, net positive cash flow, then that's okay. But if negative cash flow ka, then it's better just to pay the first one.
Thank you so much, Sir Gary.
Okay, thank you. So, Sir Larry, conclusion.
Did you like this whole experience? Because based on your feedback on this, whether you liked it and whether you'd like to have more of it, we will consider how to do it better the next time we do ERP seminar again. Because this whole bonus thing really was because we felt that the many comments we got in the feedback sheet is you wish it was not a one-day seminar. You're saying you wanted it to be 2 days because there's so many things you wanted covered that one day couldn't handle. So we were hoping that we can keep it at 1 day, but the bonus will actually answer all of the other things that were inside you na gusto mong ilabas, no? So it has to do with how to serve you in the limited time that we could give you only, which is a 1-day seminar. And that would allow more people flexibility on how to get the seminar.
Okay.
All right.
So thank you very much for your presence and hope to see you all again soon. We wish you the best of success in all your endeavors, your real estate journey, and just keep in touch with us. You have our emails, clubtrp@gmail.com, or probably see you in future events. We may include some event that may be interesting to you as well. Really copy pasting all of these unanswered questions in this meeting chat, and we will answer them in one email to be blasted to all the attendees. All right, soon. So, Sir Larry, thank you for your
Okay.
time. Thank you
Yes.
for
It's a pleasure
fruitful, productive session.
joining you on this, Randy.
Yes,
Thank you very
and
much.
we thank you
Photo
for
op, sir.
Mavs.
Photo op.
Oh, photo op. Okay, sige. We'll ask our...
Attendance.
Oo, sorry.
O na,
Pakitanggal na yung sharing.
kahit na.
Ayun, sige.
Yun.
Okay, please turn on your videos for photo op.
Yun.
Ayan.
Grabe.
Okay.
Ay na.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, cheers. Okay. 1, 2, 3, cheers.
Grabe.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Thank you,
Sir Larry.
And,
Thank you, Sir Randy.
Thank you.
Good seeing you guys.
Thank you so much. Very helpful. Thank you. Oo. Diba? Ganyan. Para para kita yung... Oo.